You think the world plays games with you, don't you? That everything is just noise, chaos, smoke in the air. But this isn't a game, not this time. This isn't about your pride, your ambition, or your illusions of control. No, this is about blood, about legacy, about the one thing that carries your name forward when you're long gone. Your son. And when it comes to him, the stakes are no longer measured in wins and losses. They're measured in survival, in whether he becomes something greater or collapses under the same chains you've been dragging your whole life. Every choice you make becomes his blueprint. You may think the things you do are just about you, that your habits, your decisions, your compromises belong only to your story. But that's the lie you've been living. Children don't just watch. They absorb. They don't just hear what you say. They inhale it. They etch it into their bones, into the corners of their minds, and it becomes their script for life. You light a cigarette. You think it's just your lungs burning, but he's memorizing it. You lose your temper. You think it's just another burst of anger, but he's studying how rage works. You give up when things get too hard. You think no one noticed, but he saw, and he's learning that quitting is a way out. Your choices are not private. They're contagious. What you are is what he becomes. It's cruel, isn't it? You thought he'd listen to your words, follow your lectures, obey your warnings. But he doesn't care about your speeches. He cares about the story your actions tell. You can tell him to be strong all you want, but if he sees you bend under pressure, that's the real lesson. You can tell him to be honest, but if he catches you lying, that's the truth he'll carry. Every time you betray your own standards, you're not just failing yourself. You're carving weakness into his foundation. And the part that stings, you don't get to hide. He sees you when you're tired, when you're broken, when you're drowning in doubt. He doesn't just see your victories. He sees how you handle defeat. And that's the real blueprint, isn't it? How do you handle failure? How do you handle humiliation? Do you crawl back up, or do you stay in the dirt? Because however you move, that's the map you're leaving behind. He'll walk the road you've already drawn, whether you like it or not. It's not fair, but that's the price of being chosen. You don't just live for yourself anymore. Every decision echoes into him. Every weakness multiplies. Every strength becomes his inheritance. If you want him to grow into something greater, you have to stop lying to yourself about your choices. They matter more than you can admit. One drink too many, one compromise too easy, one silence when you should have spoken. It all stacks up. And when he faces his own storms, it won't be your advice that guides him. It'll be the silent lessons you wrote with your life. The scariest part, he doesn't get to choose whether he inherits your blueprint. He doesn't ask for it. It just seeps into him. You've already handed him the map, and he'll follow it until he's strong enough or broken enough to rewrite it. But if you don't rise now, if you don't start shaping that map with discipline, with courage, with persistence, then the cycle just repeats. He'll stumble in the same pits you did. He'll carry the same chains. And you'll watch your shadow replayed in his body, his decisions, his mistakes. You wanted freedom, didn't you? But freedom isn't just breaking yourself out of the cage. It's making sure he never walks into it in the first place. And that means every move you make is under a spotlight. Every choice is heavier. Every habit is louder. Every weakness is more dangerous. That's the pressure you carry, and you can't escape it. Because whether you like it or not, every choice you make is becoming his blueprint. The world is waiting to break him if you don't prepare him. That's the part nobody tells you when a child is born. They hand you the baby, they smile, they congratulate, but they don't warn you that the same world that claps at his first breath is sharpening knives for him already. There are people out there who don't care about his innocence, don't care about his potential, don't care about the light in his eyes. They see vulnerability, and to them, that's weakness to exploit. The world is a predator, and your son is prey until you teach him otherwise. If you don't make him strong, they will make him weak. If you don't show him what truth feels like, lies will seduce him. If you don't build his confidence, someone will tear it apart and replace it with shame. It doesn't take much. A cruel teacher, a fake friend, a moment of betrayal. That's all it takes to plant poison in his heart, to teach him that he's worthless, to convince him that he's powerless. And once that seed is in, it grows fast. By the time you notice, it's already strangled him from the inside. You can't protect him by hiding him. You can't shield him by pretending the world is soft. That's what weak parents do. They cover their child's eyes. They lie about reality. They whisper fairy tales instead of preparing for nightmares. And then when the nightmare arrives, the child is defenseless. Because nobody told him monsters don't live under the bed. They live inside people. They live in the system. They live in the friend who smiles today and stabs tomorrow. Preparation isn't about wrapping him in comfort. It's about exposing him to enough fire that he learns not to burn. You teach him discipline so when temptation comes, he knows how to resist. You teach him courage so when fear comes, he knows how to fight. You teach him self-worth so when the world calls him nothing, he laughs instead of breaking. You turn him into steel, not by pampering him, but by sharpening him. Because the world isn't gentle, so why should his preparation be? And don't lie to yourself thinking time will do the work for you. Time doesn't build strength. It erodes it if it isn't reinforced. If you don't teach him who he is, the world will teach him who he isn't. If you don't show him his value, someone will convince him he has none. If you don't hand him weapons of resilience, the world will hand him chains. And chains are far easier to accept than swords when you've never been taught how to carry weight. The predators out there are patient. They wait for weakness. They wait for broken confidence, for doubt, for the cracks in his armor. They'll offer him shortcuts, temptations, illusions of love, illusions of success. And he'll fall for all of it if you don't prepare him now. Because unprepared sons don't get rescued, they get consumed. You can't afford to hesitate. You can't afford to think there's time. Every day you delay, the world is already whispering in his ear, already shaping him behind your back. The question is whether your voice is louder than theirs, whether your guidance can outweigh their lies, whether the armor you build on him can withstand the blades already waiting. Your strength must become his shield. He doesn't get to fight the battles you've already faced. Not yet. He's too young, too fragile, too unshaped by the chaos that carved you into what you are. But the chaos doesn't care about his age. It doesn't wait until he's ready. It throws itself at him anyway, testing, clawing, gnawing, trying to pull him under before he's even learned how to swim. And when that storm comes, the only thing standing between him and destruction is you. Not your words, not your intentions, not your promise, your strength. Strength is not about how much you can lift, not about how loud you can shout. Strength is about how much you can absorb without breaking, how much you can take without letting the poison spill into him. Because when he sees you holding, when he sees you standing, when he sees you refuse to fold under the weight, he learns that survival is possible. He learns that even when the world swings with everything it has, there's a way to remain unshaken. Your shield is his first experience of safety. But a shield is not just protection. It's an example. When you absorb the hit, he studies how you did it. When you block the fire, he sees what it costs. When you walk through the darkness and keep your head up, he watches, and that image burns into his mind. He might not thank you. He might not even understand. But one day, when he faces his own storm, he'll reach for the memory of your strength like a weapon. And that will save him in ways your words never could. The danger comes when your strength collapses. When you let yourself fall apart in front of him without showing recovery, without showing resilience. He learns that protection is temporary. He learns that the shield can break. And once he believes that, he begins to live as though he's already unprotected. Fear seeps in. Doubt eats him alive. That's why your strength isn't just about you anymore. It's borrowed by him, carried by him, depended on by him. And strength isn't about pretending you don't feel pain. It's about showing him how to carry pain without letting it crush you. If he sees you hurt but still moving, bleeding but still fighting, tired but still standing, he doesn't just see strength. He sees possibility. He sees that it's okay to be broken and still refuse to quit. He sees that a shield isn't flawless, but it's unrelenting. You don't have to be perfect. In fact, perfection is useless. What he needs is honesty wrapped in resilience. If you fall, show him how to rise. If you fail, show him how to rebuild. If you lose, show him how to stay hungry. That's the shield that lasts. Not the illusion of invincibility, but the reality of endurance. Because one day, he'll have to forge his own shield. And the only design he'll have is yours. If yours was weak, his will crack even sooner. If yours was strong, his will be unbreakable. That's the transfer of power that happens whether you want it or not. Every ounce of strength you build now doesn't stop with you. It becomes his inheritance. So when the weight presses down on you, remember it's not just your back carrying it. His future is pressed against your spine too. And every time you refuse to fall, every time you hold steady, every time you choose to fight, your strength becomes his shield. He learns more from your scars than your words. You can spend your whole life lecturing him, filling his ears with rules, advice, warnings, and stories, but none of it will ever weigh as much as the marks life has left on you. Children don't follow instructions. They follow evidence. They look at what you carry, not what you claim. They study the lines carved into your face, the silence after your losses, the grit in your eyes when you refuse to surrender. That's where the lessons live, not in speeches. A scar is proof. Proof that you went into the fire and didn't stay burned. Proof that you bled but kept moving. Proof that pain didn't define you, it refined you. When he sees your scars, he doesn't see weakness, he sees maps. Each mark tells him where the traps are, where the dangers wait, where the mistakes can cost everything. He can learn from your damage without having to repeat it himself, if you're willing to show it. But most people hide their scars. They cover them with long sleeves, fake smiles, endless distractions. They think protecting their child means pretending they've never fallen, never failed, never been betrayed. And that's the worst kind of lie. Because when he faces pain for the first time, he'll think it's abnormal. He'll think it means he's broken because he never saw you break. He'll think scars mean failure, when really scars mean survival. Hiding your scars is robbing him of the most powerful lesson you could ever give. Show him the times you were beaten but got back up. Show him the betrayals that cut deep but didn't end you. Show him the moments you wanted to quit but didn't. Don't just hand him the victory. Hand him the struggle that carved it out of you. Because he's not learning how to live from your successes. He's learning from your endurance. He's not learning how to win from your trophies. He's learning how to fight from your wounds. Your scars become his armor. The more he sees, the more he understands that pain isn't the end, that failure isn't final, that wounds don't disqualify him, they shape him. Every scar you reveal is another weapon he can carry into his own battles. And when he feels like the world is tearing him apart, those memories of your survival whisper, "This isn't the end. You can make it too." And the truth is, scars are honest. Words can be empty, promises can be broken, but scars never lie. They are permanent proof that you've lived through hell and kept walking. They're the kind of lessons you can't fake, the kind that last longer than advice or warnings. And if you try to pretend you're untouched, you're teaching him a false story, that strength means never falling, when in reality, strength means rising after you've been destroyed. So don't be afraid of your scars. Don't hide them. Don't dilute them. Let him see the rawness, the pain, the imperfections. Let him see the jagged edges of your survival. Because when he does, he won't just see a parent. He'll see a warrior. And in his own darkest hours, he won't cling to the words you said. He'll cling to the scars you showed. Fear is the shadow that will either paralyze him or push him forward. And the way you handle it will decide which one it becomes. You can't tell him not to be afraid. That's a useless lie. Fear is stitched into the human heart, beating louder when the stakes rise, when the unknown creeps in, when the risk is heavier than the safety. Pretending it doesn't exist doesn't make him strong. It makes him blind. He needs to see that fear isn't an enemy. It's a compass. It points to the places where growth hides, where change waits, where the real test begins. The problem is most people raise their children to run from fear, to hide in comfort, to play it safe, to keep their head down and never dare. And then they wonder why the child grows up weak, hollow, empty. You don't teach him strength by shielding him from the storm. You teach him strength by showing him how to walk into it trembling, but still moving forward. That's the secret no one tells. Courage doesn't exist without fear. If there's no fear, there's no bravery. If he never shakes, he'll never learn to stand. Fear is a teacher sharper than any lecture, more brutal than any book. It strips you down, reveals who you are beneath the masks. When he feels it, his chest tight, his breath heavy, his hands trembling, that's when he's closest to finding out what he's made of. And if you're brave enough to admit to your own fears, he'll see that it's not about erasing them. It's about controlling them, bending them, turning them into fire. Let him see the fears you've faced. Don't hide the times you were terrified, the moments your heart nearly stopped, the choices you made when everything in you wanted to retreat. Show him how you walked through them anyway, because when he feels fear, he'll remember you didn't run. He'll remember that fear didn't kill you, and it doesn't have to kill him either. That memory might be the only thing keeping him from collapsing when his turn comes. And it will come. Fear is waiting for him in dark corners you can't protect him from, in losses you can't prevent, in choices only he can make. You can't save him from that, and you shouldn't try. Your job isn't to remove the fear, it's to sharpen him with it. Let him see that shaking doesn't mean weakness. It means he's alive. It means he's about to cross a line that others never dared. Fear is the currency of growth. It's the price he must pay for anything worthwhile. And the sooner he understands that, the sooner he stops running and starts collecting scars. Every time he faces it, he adds another piece of steel to his spine. Every time he refuses to let fear decide, he rewrites the story of who he is becoming. That's how leaders are built. That's how fighters are forged. Not in comfort, not in safety, but in the furnace of fear. So don't soften it for him. Don't erase it. Don't whisper empty promises that everything will always be fine. Instead, show him how to walk with it, how to let it live inside his chest without letting it choke him, how to turn that pounding heartbeat into rhythm, into drive, into momentum. Because in the end, fear is not his enemy, it's his greatest ally, if he has the courage to carry it instead of escape it. Discipline is the cruelest gift you can give him. And yet it's the only one that will carry him when everything else fails. People mistake discipline for punishment, as if it's a prison. But it's not chains. It's the key. The weak want freedom without responsibility, pleasure without work, results without sacrifice. And so they stay weak. Discipline is the silent monster in the room, the one nobody wants to look at, because it doesn't smile, it doesn't flatter, it doesn't hand out rewards for nothing. It demands. It claws at you every morning when you don't want to rise, every night when you want to quit, every moment you think you deserve rest when the job isn't finished. Your son must know discipline like it's stitched into his bones, not as a punishment, but as a choice, over and over again. It's the decision to get up when his body screams no, to focus when his mind drifts into comfort, to move when every excuse tells him to stay still. Discipline isn't built in grand gestures. It's carved in the small choices, the daily grind, the silent battles no one applauds. It's in the alarm clock he doesn't snooze, the practice he doesn't skip, the commitment he doesn't break. The world won't clap for him when he chooses discipline, but one day they'll stand in awe of what he has become because of it. The truth is, most men never learn this. They wait for motivation, as if some magical lightning will strike them with energy. But motivation is a liar. It comes and goes like the weather, sunny one day, stormy the next. If he builds his life on motivation, he'll collapse with the first wind. Discipline, though, doesn't care about the weather. It doesn't need the sun to shine or the stars to align. It's steady, unchanging, merciless, and that's why it works. That's why it's rare. That's why it separates the ones who rise from the ones who rot. He will hate it at first. Everyone does, because discipline feels like sacrifice, and sacrifice feels like death. But hidden inside that death is the birth of strength, of focus, of power. Discipline strips away weakness layer by layer until there's nothing left but resilience. And one day, he'll realize that what once felt like chains have become his wings, carrying him above the ones who never chose it. And don't you dare let him escape it. Don't let him live soft. Don't give him everything he wants the moment he cries for it. The world won't be that kind to him, so why should you? If he learns now that discipline hurts but never kills, then later, when the world tries to break him, he'll laugh. Because pain won't scare him, discomfort won't stop him, and sacrifice won't surprise him. He'll have already walked that road 1,000 times.